Good evening. The Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, the Journal News, and TV Hamilton are excited to bring you this opportunity tonight to hear from the candidates for Hamilton City Council and Mayor. Thank you all for taking the time to be here tonight, showing your commitment to the city and its future, and thank you to the candidates for being here tonight as well. The Hamilton Chamber of Commerce sent the topics we'll be discussing tonight in advance to the candidates for their review. Each candidate will have a minute to talk about a topic that I'll give them. And before we start that, we will let them give a brief introduction of themselves so you will become familiar with them. Well, before we delve into the issues, let's meet all of you. Ms. Matthews, if you'd like to start us off.
Well, good evening. Excited to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Commerce for the invitation to be here, TV Hamilton, and also the Journal News. I'm Shaquila Matthews, born and raised in Hamilton. I grew up on 5th Street before it became Martin Luther King. Like I said, again, born and raised here. I have two amazing boys, David and Davin. I also pastor Truth and Life Community Church on 450 Front Street. Also the founder of the Pastor Shack Job and Mentoring Program, which I'm very proud of. We have successfully completed our 2nd year. I also coach basketball over at Wilson Junior High. Go Knights, 8th grade girls. So I'm very excited to be born in Hamilton, raised in Hamilton. It definitely has been the city that's made me be, who I am today. So I'm excited to be here, and that is me.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan.
Good evening. Thank you, Chamber, for giving me this opportunity to be here tonight. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. And once again, my name is Michael Ryan. I was born and raised here, attended St. Peter and Shane's Elementary and Church, graduated from Baden High School, and attended Wright State University, and then continued my education at the Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science to begin a career in funeral directing and mortician science. Currently, I am a life insurance underwriter for Western and Southern Financial in downtown Cincinnati. I am running for council because I believe in this city. I am honored to be here, and I'm honored to get the opportunity to hope one day serve this great community. And I'm looking forward to serving all neighborhoods, all residents, and all businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knabb.
Good evening. I wish to thank the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, Cox, Ohio, and TV Hamilton for holding this Hamilton City Council Candidate Forum. I am Tim Knabb and proudly serve on your Hamilton City Council. I am seeking re-election this November and serving you and our city for the next 4 years. I moved to Hamilton in 1977 from Buffalo, New York. I was promoted with my company to a regional manager's role. I met my wife, Pam Heck, a Hamiltonian, a year later, became engaged and married in Hamilton in 1982. We have raised our family here. I invested and began my civic service, city and church commitments in those years and continue to serve on many boards, commissions, committees, and contributive ventures today. It remains my privilege to serve our entire city, all neighborhoods, people in all businesses, new and intended businesses, and visitors to our city. I wish to earn your continued support and ask for your vote this fall for my seat on your Hamilton City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moeller.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Pat Moeller. I'm the mayor of Hamilton. It's an honor to be speaking in this historic City Council chambers. Thank you, Journal News. Thank you, Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, for this opportunity. I'm a lifelong resident of Hamilton. I went to school here. I attend church here. I work here in Hamilton. Hamilton is where I've been blessed with family, friends, and the world's greatest dog. Luke, my dog, my lab mix, is probably live streaming TV Hamilton right now. Thank you, TV Hamilton, for being here. Now is not the time for change. Now is the time to stay the course. Now is the time to continue the forward march of progress with an attitude of why not the best for Hamilton. Now it's time to continue to be responsive to our citizens and to create new jobs. Let's take care of our neighborhoods. Let's grow the middle class in our town, and let's continue our progress. And again, thank you all for being here.
you. Mr. Brown?
Yes. Thank you to the Chamber and the Journal for this forum. I would like to introduce myself. I am Robert Brown, and I am running for re-election to Hamilton City Council. I was born and raised in Hamilton, Ohio. I also graduated from St. Peter's in Chains and graduated from Baden High School. I started my business shortly after high school, got married, and raised 3 children here in Hamilton also. While running my business, I realized I wanted to be involved with the city and give back to the community. I wanted to invest my time to improve Hamilton and make it a more desirable city that would attract business and residents. In the 2 terms I've served on council already, I feel confident that the city is heading in the right direction. I hope to continue this and to serve the people of Hamilton by being reelected. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
Yes, good evening to everybody. I want to thank the Chamber for inviting me tonight to this forum, and also the Journal News for hosting us. My name is Delbert Price. I've lived in Hamilton for a little over 30 years. My wife and I, between us, we have 2 children, 7 grandchildren, 14, with a 15th great-grandchild on the way, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. I currently serve on the Hamilton Public Utility Commission, and also my wife and I sponsor a team at the West Side Little League. I spent over 40 years in the labor movement, retiring in December of 14 as an international union rep. I've worked all over the country, dealing with all levels of government, and I look forward to serving Hamilton as a member of the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Noble?
Good evening. Thank you again for this opportunity to the Hamilton Council and the Chamber of Commerce, the Journal News. I appreciate this honor. My name is Shauna Noble. I am a lifelong resident of Hamilton, a 1993 graduate of Hamilton High School. I graduated from Miami University with my bachelor's in marketing and in organizational behavior. I graduated in 2007 with my MBA from Indiana Wesleyan University. I am now currently employed, and I've been employed with Butler County for the past 15 years, and I work as the wellness coordinator for the county. As a Butler County employee, as a governmental employee, I can appreciate the services that a government provides to its residents. I also, too, as a business owner, I can appreciate making the businesses stronger. So I count it an honor and a privilege to gain your support and vote me in on November the 7th to help to make our city and its residents both stronger, and there's a viable community where people will choose first to live, to work, and to play.
So just to remind our candidates and to let you all know how tonight's forum will work, each candidate will have about a minute to respond to a question. We'll let them know when they're about halfway through their time so they can prepare their answers accordingly. Ms. Noble, we will go ahead and start with you down there. And I should first mention, too, unable to join us this evening is Ramon Batista, a candidate for Hamilton Mayor. Candidates, what are the best things Hamilton has to offer, and how would your leadership capitalize on those features or those resources in the future? We'll start with you, Ms. Noble.
The one thing that differentiates Hamilton from all of its surrounding communities is its river. You can see from developments such as Newport on the Levee, the banks, and other waterfront developments such as that people are naturally drawn to riverfront developments and going to frequent those restaurants, those shops, those places of entertainment. Currently along our riverfront, we have a beautiful courtyard. We have the wonderful fitness center. We have the amphitheater. We have the Markham apartments that are coming. But also along our river, we have dilapidated buildings and houses. We need to take advantage of this one asset that we have that differentiates our city and makes it more of a destination spot for not just our residents, but the surrounding communities to come to visit us and to help to increase our tax revenue, to help improve the property value for Hamilton. So we need to look at exploring restaurants, including fine dining. And next Saturday, I'm getting married. And while I was planning my marriage, I looked around at all the restaurants in Hamilton to see where I could have my rehearsal dinner. There aren't a lot of choices in Hamilton, but Hamilton has many residents who would support fine dining. So that's one thing that we need to look at on providing on our riverfront.
Thank you, Ms. Noble. Mr. Price, same question.
When I look at this question, two things come to mind. First is our utilities. We probably have, in the tri-state area, probably the most reliable and the least expensive utilities around. The second one, I have to agree with young lady, is our river banks. We need to develop those river banks, bring in maybe some condos and apartments along the river, some fine dining at restaurants. If you want to go to a fine restaurant in Hamilton, good luck in finding one. I advertise the Coach House as one over at, but other than that, there isn't really any good fine restaurants in town. And I think City Council can go a long ways in both utilizing the utilities to attract new businesses into town and also to attract restaurants and developers for the riverfront. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
On my 7.5 years now, I have been involved with the board of directors with OKI. OKI has 3 partners, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. They spend $40 million for infrastructure. In the 7.5 years that I've been a board member, I brought back to Hamilton $7.2 million for infrastructure. So that's what I've got. And we need more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moeller.
First, our city has a creative, results-oriented city administration and team. Second, our city has neighborhoods and business districts which are becoming stronger. And third, we in this room are partners in owning a utility system which features a green portfolio of energy production. Regarding our city team, it thinks strategically with measured results for a domino effect of success. It partners with groups which care about Hamilton, and I am proud to be part of this team. Regarding our neighborhood and business districts, they are identifiable, proud, and feature people working together. An example would be a growing North End neighborhood group, which is promoting safer traffic and pedestrian flow, better lighting, and improved appearance. Another example would be the Main Street Business District, which is improving block by block with core fund and private investment. Regarding our utilities, we provide utilities at reasonable rates, and we continue to feature our utilities in economic development agreements to create jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp.
Hamilton is experiencing a renaissance. Our downtown is booming. In my term on City Council, thousands of valuable jobs have been created in our city. Existing and new businesses, large and small, have added high-paying jobs and brought high-paying jobs to our city. Creative economic incentives, structured strategic programs, and supply influences, appropriate space, repurposed buildings, job-ready resources, affordable utilities, collaborative business-minded people have committed to Hamilton. I feel my leadership that in this time has helped create the conditions for those developments. I am committing to continue legislation which allows for growth in the city of Hamilton while maintaining a balanced budget.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan.
First and foremost, Hamilton offers jobs, entertainment, education, faith communities, and river activities. Also, with new companies that are moving to Hamilton and relocating to our city, our residents have a different career opportunities. We have jobs. We have companies that have also been here for years, and they are starting to expand. They're starting to expand their product, and at the same time, when they expand, it just gives another opportunity for our residents to start gaining another career opportunity in our town. We have entertainment options that include River's Edge, the Hamilton Flea, the Municipal Brew, which will all be there shortly, Operation Pumpkin, to name a few, but Pyramid Hill and Fitness Center, which, again, they attract folks to our city, and it brings foot traffic to our downtown. So with my leadership, we can continue to focus on economic development, more employment opportunities for our residents, and we need to stay aggressive in going to the opportunity and not having the opportunity come to us. We need to continue to be a showcase city for all businesses, large and small, commercial or industrial, and places that offer food and drink. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that the city we're on the brink of greatness. I think that we are definitely in the forefront of leading of what a city looks like when you come from, if you will, being a city that was once no foot traffic, no businesses, no entertainment, to now you feel this buzz, this sense of excitement. And I look to continue on with that excitement that's going on in our city, to continue to making sure that we're a city that's not divided by rivers and tracks, but that we are a city that we all can live, work, and play, that our children have an opportunity for after-school program, that our children have the opportunity to be a part and engaged in our city as well, and that this is a city and a community that we all feel and work, and that we all can play in, and that we continue to build our community, because I believe that's one thing that Hamilton has. We have very unique communities. We have very distinct and identifiable communities. I think we need to continue to build on that, continue to pour into that, and strengthen our communities, because when you have strong communities, it makes for a great city, a strong city, and I believe when you have the communities behind you, it brings an excitement to the city that you'll continue to see for years to come.
Thank you. Thank you. What are the biggest and most immediate challenges that are facing the city of Hamilton? We'll start on this end with you, Ms. Matthews.
Could you repeat that?
What are the biggest and most immediate challenges that are facing the city?
I believe some are definitely some of the blighted communities and houses that we see. I definitely believe that some of the issues that we face would definitely be the drug epidemic that we see in our communities. I think those are some of the things that, would definitely need to be, further addressed and further, resources pooled to be able to help those that are, dealing with drug addiction. I think definitely putting more systems in place to deal with the blighted houses and the communities that are dealing with those epidemics, predominantly in our 2nd and 4th ward, and also in our northeast. So dealing with the drugs, dealing with the different houses that are, in bad conditions, and helping solve those issues and cleaning up our communities and our neighborhood, and also making sure that we invest in our neighborhoods again, to make sure that they're strong, to make sure that that it's reflective of our beautiful Main Street, it's reflective of High Street, to make sure that all communities are strengthened and that they're reflective of our city.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, same question.
I believe the biggest and most immediate challenges facing our city are our neighborhoods and jobs. We need to continue to create economic opportunity for all residents, but the same opportunities for entrepreneurs, those who want to move here, those who want to start a business here and invest in our city. I also want to continue cleaning up and beautifying our properties, our households, and our neighborhoods. This includes strengthening our residential and rental property laws. We have to continue to push for tough legislation for negligent property owners that continually allow their properties to be unsafe, unsanitary, and unbeneficial to the needs and goals of the community. Something I saw as a volunteer in the health department for 5+ years with the deterioration of the 2nd Ward, the 4th Ward, and North End, and we got to do everything we can to protect our neighborhoods. Another challenge is unity. If we can't talk calmly, we can't disagree politely, we will never move forward. So I want to get together with opposing groups and see how we can work together as one. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp.
The two most important challenges I see are, number one, our continued momentum and positive opportunities for our residents and businesses. Number two is to build strong, insightful leadership in our city and schools to keep things moving forward. We must work collaboratively in order to continue to bring value to both existing and future residents. We need to be sure we have decisive supporting rationale for people to come and stay and live and work and play in our city to make their city a future home. Thank you.
Mr. Moeller.
Thank you. Biggest and most immediate challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, our successes are still fragile. A loss of jobs or multiple small business closures are more than just one step back. Our roads. People do not want to drive on poor roads to get to nice places. We have an old infrastructure. We need to find a money stream to pave our roads. Our business challenges are several. We need more acreage for new commercial investment. Either we tear down blighted buildings or we repurpose old buildings for advanced manufacturing. We need to get back to making more things. We need more downtown retail. As the demographics change and more people live downtown, we need retail and grocery type stores where people can buy necessities. We need more jobs in research and science. You know, folks wearing lab coats. Residents earning more money will grow the middle class and increase home ownership in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, again, the question is, what are the biggest and most challenging issues facing the city?
Our infrastructure. Hamilton Utilities recently, in 2017, continually improving in the utilities. To this end, Hamilton Utilities is investing over $20 million in local infrastructure. Hamilton Utilities are involved in a number of important projects, including South Hamilton Crossing, Main Street, streetscape, enhancement, Columbia Bridge, Foundation Field, Markham Apartments. Hamilton Utilities is also involved, and also natural gas, water, and wastewater. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Price.
I think one of the biggest challenges the city faces is our deteriorating streets. They aren't safe. In a lot of places, they aren't safe for our residents. They're not safe for our first responders. And the challenge is, where does the money come from? That was a big issue. We'll have to tackle looking at federal grants, state grants, anywhere we can find the money, any excess money in the city budget, and then go from there for a program that will get our streets either repaired and repaved. And the second issue is the rampant influx of illegal drugs, fentanyl. It's taking lives. I have a grandson that works at the hospital, as a charge nurse in ER. He says he sees the same people coming in 2 and 3 times a week to get the shot to save their lives. This is uncalled for. We have to come up with some kind of treatment for these people. Thank you.
Ms. Noble.
I've identified 4 different issues that I think that are the biggest challenges for our city. First and foremost, the lack of an economic base in our city. When the big manufacturing and industries moved out of our city, our residents didn't have the livable wages. So we need to focus upon getting another economic base in the city to provide livable wages for the residents and a significant tax revenue for our city. Secondly, the traffic flow. If anybody lives on the west side of Hamilton, and if you're looking to get residents into the city, if they work outside of Hamilton, many people will not even consider living here because it can often take 20 minutes to get from Applebee's to Route 4. So that traffic flow needs to be addressed, and getting access and egress into our city and making it a more habitable place. Third, of course, is the heroin epidemic. Treatment options for the people, social services, working with our religious and nonprofit institutions to help combat this issue. I have talked with the city, or actually the county health department. There are actually people today having Narcan parties where somebody's a designated Narcan administrator. They'll do their drugs together, and one person will be sent to save and revive the people that are part of the party. So we can't look to Narcan to be a savior for those who are on heroin. We need to get livable wage jobs here so that people have hope for their future and provide them the treatment options, and looking to our religious and our nonprofit organizations to help bring the cure for this issue.
Thank you, Ms. Noble. Mr. Price, we'll start with you for our next question. Hamilton is very rich in diversity. How should that be embraced for strategic planning and economic development?
I have to agree that we have a very diverse community here. We have to develop housing, affordable housing for all levels of incomes within the city. And secondly, we need to get businesses that will come into town, bring jobs. We can't rely on just scientific jobs. We have to have some manual labor jobs in this town for people that aren't trained to do the higher paying jobs. We have to meet all levels of the diversity with these jobs. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Formed in January 2015, the Diversity and Inclusion Commission is tasked with studying the internal and external barriers to diversity and inclusion and providing recommendations to city to address such barriers. The Commission has a strategic plan with clear goals and including measures that hold the Commission accountable for achieving said goals. The Commission is composed of 3 subcommittees out the work of the Commission and the Internal Retention and Recruitment and Promotion Subcommittee, the Marketing and Communication Subcommittee, and the Citizen Engagement and Community Partnerships, Diversity and Inclusion Commission recommends City Council. Amend the values of statement of City of Hamilton to include diversity and inclusion in the workplace and providing equitable treatment for all customers. Create and implement a diversity and inclusion training plan and schedule an annual reoccurring training for city employees. This training should be provided not only to the city employees, but also to those who volunteer to serve on city boards and commissions.
Thank you. Mr. Moeller, the same question.
Thank you.
Hamilton's rich diversity, how should that be embraced for strategic planning and economic development?
A diverse team is a stronger team. A diverse neighborhood is a stronger neighborhood. We as a city need to create and foster opportunities for all races, ages, ethnicities, and the physically and developmentally challenged. I am part of a city council which formed the Diversity and Inclusion Commission, created by ordinance, so it will continue its work for decades. I propose to constitute the NAACP internships for high school students to work for the city of Hamilton. It meshed with the Embark program, which gives students real-world experience in economic development, GIS, and public works. We need to celebrate businessmen like Michael Folks from Jamaica, minority business owners such as Michael Neal with his $1 million barbecue sauces, and school librarians such as Mrs. Smallwood at Crawford Woods Elementary School, who successfully teach students of many economic and ethnic backgrounds. We need to be welcoming to the African American, European, and Latino chambers of commerce and businesses. And as Delbert, I was proud to see Westside Little League's Ohio State Championship baseball team include boys, girls, Latinos, Caucasians, and African Americans. Hamilton looked really good printed on their jerseys.
Thank you. Mr. Knabb.
Hamilton's diversity is one of our greatest strengths. We are rich in diversity of age, wealth, education levels, culture, race, religion, political learnings, and ethnicities. I served as City Council proponent in creating our Citizens Diversity and Inclusion Commission at its inception 2 years ago. The Working Commission is vital to our continued outreach to all people of Hamilton. We are committed to ensuring opportunity for all Hamiltonians. The creation of our Diversity and Inclusion Commission was implemented from our strategic plan and original Sense of Place Committee, which I chaired at that time. Thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
Hamilton gains its strength from its inclusion of all walks of life and socioeconomic backgrounds. We need to make sure that no decision will cater to one group of people, but make sure that everyone will be able to benefit from our decisions. By including all residents, all neighborhoods, we can make sure that the entire city gets a chance at the same economic opportunity. Thank you.
Ms. Matthews.
Thank you. Being a member of the Diversity and Inclusion Commission, we are currently circulating a survey to hear from the residents of Hamilton to know what they would like to see in the city that they live in, to see what they would like to do in the city that they play in, the city that they work in. So being a part of that commission has been really enlightening and really exciting, because I believe that the commission working along with City Council will be a great partnership to really hear from the citizens that live here. And I believe that we definitely have to strike on and build our platform off of the diverse city that we have, because it's what it makes us unique. It also gives people the opportunity to see that we do embrace that, and we have to make sure that our city is reflective of that, that we see diversity in our city, that we see diversity in our fire and our police department, that we see diversity in more minority businesses in Hamilton. So we have to make sure that we are being responsible in taking care of our communities, so that we see a reflective city, but that we just don't have this rich, diverse community, and that we don't see it reflective in our downtown and also where we work at as well.
Thank you. And Ms. Noble, how should the city's diversity be embraced for future economic development?
As you've seen over the recent past, like with the development of Mahogany's, when it was in business, it was people of every race, age. They came and frequented that place, and it did a tremendous. Neil's Barbecue. We also, and forgive me for my lack of Spanish skills, the New Mexican restaurant on the west side, Tequila Guanajuato, or how you pronounce it. I'm sorry for my skills. But we need to embrace businesses such as this and help them to promote them and put their best foot forward. Also, too, though, from speaking from experience, I am part of the largest minority. While a lot of people think of, age, race, religion, I am a working disabled woman who has wanted to go to many places in downtown Hamilton, but I am unable to do so. You may be of a different religion, but if you can walk, you can get into these businesses. So another thing that our city needs to do is they need to focus upon how they can make this community more accessible to those who are aging and those who are born or have suffered from a disability.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, we'll start with you for our next question. How do you feel about major development projects like Spooky Nook and Markham Apartments? And how will Hamilton change as a result of those projects?
These projects, as all of us know, they are extremely exciting, they are encouraging, and they are absolutely vital for our city. Not only are we bringing visitors into our town with Spooky Nook, but we're having residents live down with the Markham Apartments that are being built right now. All of this creates great and vital foot traffic for our downtown businesses and our Main Street businesses. Not only is this foot traffic vital, but this will entice other businesses to want to move here, to want to relocate here. It will cause entrepreneurs to look at Hamilton in a positive light because the need and demand is here for them to get here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp?
These projects are a direct result of my term on City Council. When we engaged and hired our city manager, Joshua Smith, we created our plan for new, exciting destination places while retaining and working with all existing businesses in Hamilton. These high-end, extremely valuable projects are the direct result of specific careful planning and strategic acquisition. We do have limited resources while we maintain a balanced budget. As chair of our Finance Committee of Council, I assist in oversight of our City Council business plan, our city strategy, and business attraction. Our city, as a result of structured metrics, continues to engage in collaborative efforts to bring many more exciting and valuable businesses to Hamilton, creating purposeful places to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moeller?
So I'm a big fan of the original Rocky boxing movie. In the not yet released Rocky Hamilton version, Rocky wins the title fight. Knocked down by the Loss of Smart Paper Company, Mohawk Paper Company, Elder Beerman, and prior to them the Safe Companies. Hamilton picked itself up off the map with StarTech, Barclaycard, expansions as at ThyssenKrupp Bilstein, and a flurry of new small businesses downtown and on Main Street. Spooky Nook at the Champion Mill Sports Complex and the Markham Apartments will lift up our neighborhoods and lift up our city. Spooky Nook will change the perception of our city. We will remain a local sports town, but we will also become a regional sports town with the Spooky Nook seal of success. It will be open for sports, for business, and for employment, including employment for our young people. Markham Apartments provides for affordable living in the high-quality life area of Markham Park and Rivers Edge Amphitheater. Great living amenities and class first-floor commercial tennis. It'll be like Alive After 5 every day and every night.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Yes. Quality jobs and living wages. Foster economic prosperity, stability by retaining and expanding business that supports upward economic mobility and provides sufficient wages to support a decent standard of living. Some actions are utilize economic development agreements, local job creation, tax credits to incentive quality jobs and private decent standard of living. Evaluate and respond to Job Ohio and Ready, Cincinnati Perspective Business Request. Maintain meaningful, collectible, and relationships with regional and economic organizations. Maintain close relations with existing business and support. Thank you.
Mr. Price, and again, the question, how do you feel about major developments like Spooky Nook and the Markham Apartments, and how will Hamilton change as a result of those projects?
I think all these projects mentioned are very vital to this town, city. The Markham Apartments will be, with those luxury apartments, you'll be able to attract more professionals to live downtown, which in turn will create the other jobs because there's going to have to be restaurants and places for these people to shop. You're going to have, someone mentioned earlier, grocery stores in town. As far as Snooky Nook, I think this would be probably the greatest thing that ever happened to Hamilton. And on weekends, when they have these soccer tournaments, you're going to see thousands of people coming into town. They're going to have places to stay, which means you can develop hotels. You have to have places to eat. It means you have to develop restaurants. And the bottom line, it will create a lot of jobs in this town that will increase the bottom line of our budget, where we, as somebody said desperately before, that we have a balanced budget, and we, bottom line does not allow for things like street repairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Noble, same question.
Like the riverfront development that I talked about in my first answer, projects such as Spooky Nook and the Markham Apartments has the potential to attract millennials and make Hamilton a destination spot for new residents, for new businesses. Spooky Nook will also provide a much-needed youth opportunity for our kids, a youth recreational opportunity. When families are looking to invest in a city, to move to a city, one of the things that they first look at is what is available for my kids. Currently, we don't have a lot of opportunities for our youth. So Spooky Nook will provide a much needed opportunity for the recreation. As your city council member, I also look forward to working and to provide more opportunities such as the Fairfield Aquatic Center so that we attract young millennials and their family members to come to our city.
Thank you. And Ms. Matthews, the same question.
I believe these the new development, I think they're great. Markham Park, just the park itself is already fantastic, and it's already attracting so many, family and, and people to come down there, even to go, the fountains at night, the lights at night is already adding, so let alone the apartments itself, and let alone the complex that'll be built over there. Spooky Nook, it gives opportunity for property that was once, an eyesore to our community, but be one of our biggest prized possessions. So, how awesome is that? Where it once was dead, it'll be very much a lively place for people to be able to, be employed. It'll be a place for people to be able to play. It'll be a place for people to be able to bring their family. I think that with the new developments that are happening in our city, it will give us an opportunity to really be that show city. It will really we will really be able to be that city that people can look at and say, hey, wow, I want to be in Hamilton, I want to stay in Hamilton, and they will consider wanting to move to Hamilton. And that our youth that are coming up, it will give them the opportunity to be excited to want to live here and grow and raise their family. So I think it gives us the opportunity to really be on, the cutting edge of something great and to be a model to other cities.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, we'll start with you for our next question.
Okay.
Looking at the priorities that were identified from the recent Plan Hamilton meetings, what categories or ideas should receive the largest percentage of funding?
Safe streets, hiring of additional police and fire. There's a lot of battles out here that we fight constantly every day. Police and fire, I think was last year 13,000 runs. This year it's going to be over 16,000 runs. So the problem's getting worse because of the drug situation and things like that. So I've talked to many people about how do you fix it, and it just isn't happening. So thank you.
Mr. Moeller?
3 areas that I would like to see the city dedicate resources to would be 1, riverfront development, 2, the continued strengthening of our neighborhoods, and 3, infrastructure improvements, including street paving. North of the Columbia Bridge, with the view of the monument, courthouse, and church steeples, I'd like to see restaurant and green space development on A Street and B Street, attracting pedestrians, cyclists, and boaters. South of the Columbia Bridge, I'd like to see entertainment and recreation. Regarding our neighborhoods, let's pull together 12 leaders from each neighborhood to do a project list, and let's get them done. For non-strategic empty lots, let's give them to people for free if they will secure conventional financing to build homes, and if they agree to live in the home for at least 5 years. Let's get residents to use HUD vouchers for home ownership instead of rent. Let's keep our public safety personnel well-trained with the right amount of training and high-quality training. Let's protect the integrity of our utility infrastructure and improve the integrity of our road infrastructure.
Thank you. Mr. Knabb?
In 2011, during a city council brainstorming retreat, I created the idea and came up with the vision that Hamilton should be a purposeful place for people to live, work, and play. This mission was adopted by our city council and has been our strategic plan goal for the past 6 successful years. The projects you mentioned, Spooky Nook, will enhance our ability to play. The Markham Apartments, the option to live, and job creation, the chance to work in our city. I don't see Hamilton so much changing because of these and future projects, but accelerating along the path of growth and success we've now been on for the past 8 years. I want to see these and future efforts on which I am working today come to fruition. I place high value on our public safety, history, housing, the arts, our 17 strong neighborhoods, recreation, connectivity, infrastructure improvements, and best results for our entire city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan?
Two of the main things I noticed from the meetings that really stuck out in front of me was riverfront development and neighborhood revitalization. They need to be strongly considered. We should also beautify the entryways into our city. So for example, South B Street and Route 4. These are some of the main arteries for people entering our town and should represent it as such. Showing class and beauty and that we are proud of our city will translate to all passersby and visitors and continue our strong impact. We also need to continue to entice retail and restaurant entrepreneurs to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews?
I think definitely we could benefit, I think, seeing a fully staffed police and fire to make sure to ensure public safety. Also making sure that we clean up our neighborhoods to make sure that they're safe from crime and drugs so that our kids are able to walk to and from school, to make sure that after school programs are put in place so that our kids have somewhere to be able to go so they can, learn, so they can be able to, that we take the time to invest into them. So definitely youth empowerment.
Thank you. And Ms. Noble, the same question. Looking at the priorities identified from Plan Hamilton meetings, what categories or ideas should receive the most funding?
The three that I've identified that need the most funding, first and foremost, is our infrastructure. Secondly, it's improving the business climate. And third, improving recreation opportunities for the families and the youth of our area. The infrastructure, once again, the access and egress in our city, the streets. As you're heading from Fairfield into Hamilton on River Road, you'll go from a smooth road to a bumpy road, so the roads and even the sidewalks in some of these neighborhoods, they need improved. The business climate. I've talked to many business leaders in this area, and many of them have said that the process to invest in our area has been quite difficult. We need to streamline the process and remove any barriers to investing into our city. And third and foremost, the recreation opportunities with the riverfront development and other opportunities such as that.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
I think the top three items that need to be looked at as far as funding, number one are our streets. They drastically need to be repaired and or repaved. Attracting new businesses and jobs into town, which will help the bottom line of the budget. And last but not least, but having a fully staffed and trained police and fire departments. These are our first responders. We got to make sure that they are able to do their job and do it in a safe way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp, we'll start with you for our next question. What is the number one priority for your term if elected?
Continued job growth and prosperity in Hamilton. I want to continue to draw business using creative, ingenuitive economic development tools and resources. We are a standalone city capable of fulfilling trained staff as we have done for Barclays, StarTech, and Fort Hamilton Hospital, to name a few, our schools, and private small businesses. We want to be sure we are supporting people who live here, calling the city of Hamilton home, providing them with valuable long-term jobs and attractions, as well as bringing more people to move here simultaneously. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moeller, same question.
My number one priority would be being responsive to our residential citizens and business citizens. That's everything from answering a request to put up deer crossing signs, to my considering zoning issues at the Planning Commission, to reviewing infrastructure improvements needed for $100 million projects in our city. Being responsive, basically, it's seeing a problem, fix it. It's seeing an opportunity, take it. It is reviewing the city as a compassionate business. Just do it if it's the right thing to do. Number 1A priority is to create more jobs and retain the jobs that we have. Jobs will cure a lot what ails us. This city team in Hamilton brings many departments and groups to the table to talk with companies interested in investing in Hamilton. That includes our city economic development department, community planning department, and public safety departments. I support that all hands on deck teamwork to create jobs. Good paying jobs resulting from new businesses coming to our town will grow our middle class and strengthen our neighborhoods and our schools.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, same question.
If elected, I will go back to OKI to retain my board seat and help fund this project for our North Hamilton crossing. I have been always about police and fire, quality of life, and I just want to have another term and keep things moving forward as they've been going. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Price.
My number one priority, if elected to city council, would be the safety of our residents and first responders. Our streets need to be repaired. They are unsafe for our residents to drive on, also for our first responders. Our first responders got to have the proper training and equipment to deal with the influx of this illegal drugs, especially fentanyl, that, and if you've been reading in the papers and on the news, you can just breathe it and you can be affected. So that our first responders got to have the protection for that. Thank you.
Ms. Noble.
My number one priority is to streamline the process for businesses to invest in our community. When we look at areas such as Westchester or Fairfield, we are not going to beat them logistically. So we have to roll out the red carpet and do everything we can to incentivize businesses to invest here. We need to remove as many barriers and while ensuring the quality. People will support good quality. So we need to provide good quality businesses in our area and look at all the things that, as I said earlier, I work downtown Hamilton. It's discouraging to me when I see the businesses or I see residents driving to and fro out of Hamilton into Hamilton, but not stopping at our businesses. So we need to look at what we can do to make these businesses stronger and to encourage new quality businesses to our area.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews, the same question. What would be the number one priority for your term?
What would be the number one priority for my term would be to definitely make sure that we continue on the excitement and the boom that we feel in our city now, and to make sure that that boom and that ripple effect is felt in the rest of our communities, that they see economic development, that they see, safer communities, that they see cleaner communities, and that they see that this is truly one Hamilton, and that this is a city where everyone will feel comfortable to live in, that everyone will feel comfortable to want to raise their children in. So for me, that is my number one priority, is to continue to build upon the diversity that we have in our city and that we want to see in our city, and that we are reflective of that in our everyday lives of where we live at, where we shop at, where our entertainment, where we are, where we go for entertainment. So that is one of my number one priorities, is to make sure that we continue to develop what we have and the awesome progress that we have and that we're seeing in our city.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, same question.
Thank you. My priorities, if I get elected, are unity, opportunities to create jobs in our city, continue our aggressive trend of making our neighborhoods more beautiful and safe, and to continue to grow the opportunities that abound within them. I want to enhance the arts and entertainment for all ages to enjoy, such as restaurants, bars, social activities, riverfront development, and other amenities that will appeal to all generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moeller, we'll start with you for our last question. If elected, how will your leadership impact the city of Hamilton, its businesses, and its residents?
After listening to others and getting an education on the issues, leadership begins by doing the right thing for our citizens now and doing the right thing for those citizens who follow us. In biblical times, a village wise man was asked why he built a bridge so wide. He responded, "The bridge is not just for us, but for those who follow us." I try, and I believe I have succeeded in responding to many of the needs of our businesses and residents. But as mayor, I must also look at long-term needs. One accomplishment for which I am proud was the microloan program for small businesses, which featured favorable loan terms that a new small business would probably not get from a bank. I often check with the pulse of our business districts. I belong to the Chamber of Commerce because I wanted to invest in Hamilton. I listen and I talk to the residents in meetings, at special events, in churches, and even walking downtown from my office to the courthouse. City Council and I have a good sense of when to direct city administration strongly, when to create projects with city administration, and when to get the heck out of the way and let our city professionals do their job. And that's leadership.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, same question.
My 7 years and 8 months, I have struggled and did everything I possibly could to make Hamilton a better place, and I feel like we are getting close that it's going to continue to come back and go forward. We need, like I said, again, we need fire and police, because with all the events that we have, we want to make sure that when there's an event, we don't have any problem. I mean, so I'm just more about making sure that this town can continue to grow.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Mr. Price?
Yes, if elected, I see my role as being a voice for the working class and residents of this town. I worked in the labor movement for over 40 years. I dealt with public employees and public employers all over this country. And I think my job would be to bring those parties together to address all the priorities in this town that we have. Thank you.
Ms. Noble?
If elected, I'll work tirelessly to promote the good things that benefit the city as a whole. I'll work to encourage business and riverfront development. I'll work to promote the youth development and the youth recreational opportunities. I'll work on improving our city's image. I feel that Hamilton is an underappreciated city, that many people are not aware of the opportunities. So I'll work to promote the good things of our city and to encourage people to locate here, to live, to work, and to play here. And as a result, increase our tax revenue so that we'll have the money to invest into our fire and to our police. And we'll have the money to invest in the social services to tackle the heroin epidemic.
Thank you. Mr. Knabb, the same question. If elected, how will your leadership impact the city, its business community, and its residents?
I am honored to have served Hamilton as a council member and have been part of the elected leadership which has produced tangible, positive changes in this community. When I moved to Hamilton 40 years ago and became invested in our city due to opportunity and quality of life, I selected to help our entire city grow and prosper. I am proud to continue my focus of leadership, building on goals and programs launched and allow them to prosper. I will continue to work with and collaborate with all decision makers, ensuring continued strategic growth. I know how to get things done, and given the opportunity, I will continue to help our entire city grow and prosper for all residents and businesses for today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan?
If elected, my leadership will support unity among opposing groups and all businesses, large and small, and all neighborhoods, in terms of delivering a clean and safe place for kids and the elderly. My leadership will be an ally to the groups that want to make Hamilton a better place to live, to work, and to play. It's a must that our entryways look attractive and are in tip-top shape, to continue support as customers to our local businesses and to be ambassadors to our city, and to continue to champion efforts, events, and organizations that draw other outside visitors to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews?
If elected, I will continue to serve the community and the people that live in the community, continuing to create opportunity for our youth, like the Pastor Shack Job and Mentoring Program. Also continuing to make sure that our cities are reflective of our vision and our goal, because as we know, everyone has a dream for Hamilton, but making sure that we all are on one page and one mind and one accord, that we are able to be a city that people will want to live in, that people will want to raise their kids in, and to make sure that we continue to stay committed to our vision of being a small city, but also giving you those big town feels, and also making sure if elected, to continue the progress that has started here and continue to see the impact that has happened with the model that we have on Main Street and also on High Street.
So those are all of our planned topics of discussion for tonight. I'd like to invite all the candidates now to make a final closing remark. Ms. Noble, we'll start with you for our final remarks tonight.
As a resident of Hamilton, a lifelong resident, I'm encouraged from the recent development and the recent growth in the city. I remember, as a kid, this area having people walk up and down the streets and having businesses to go to. I look forward to seeing those things once again in this area, that Hamilton is not just populated during the work week, but Hamilton is also populated in the evening and on the weekends. I look forward to working with our city, with businesses that are looking to invest here, with families, and providing them great opportunities for their kids. Thank you, and I appreciate your support on November the 7th and helping me to become your next city leader.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
If the city residents of Hamilton are gracious enough to elect me to City Council November 7th of 2017, I pledge that I will be a voice for all residents of this town, no matter whether they live on the west side or the east side. We got to treat all the residents the same. I pledge that I'll be a voice for the working class people in this town, also for any of the public employees in this town. I worked 40 years in the public sector as an organizer, and I dealt with governments all over this country, and I think I can bring that expertise to the city council and bring the parties together to address some of the vital issues in this town. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
In closing, I would like to thank the Chamber, the Journal, and everybody in this room for their participation and leadership. With that being said, thank you.
Mr. Moeller?
Thank you. Hamilton. We all care about Hamilton, or we would not be here. I care about Hamilton. I'm the guy who creates city emails at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why am I creating city emails at 3 o'clock in the morning? Because my dog, the world's greatest dog, has to be taken outside to do his business, so I do email business while he does his business. Experience is a positive at this time in our city's progress. I have experience. No grandstanding from me, no politics from me, no big words from me just to say big words. I don't know big words. What's best for Hamilton? You tell me what you're thinking. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Let's communicate, let's listen and talk maturely. Let's stay the course.
Thank you. Mr. Nebb?
Thank you. I am truly honored to serve our city, residents, and businesses in my capacity as your city council member. As a Vietnam War U.S. Army combat veteran, I proudly served our country in 1970 and 71. When I came home, I became involved in community service and giving back. Thus, my continued commitment today in Hamilton. I wish to continue to lead Hamilton's growth and prosperity in the next 4 years. I pledge to you my continued diligence and accountability and collaborative, resourceful actions serving all residents, all businesses, and all parties for the betterment of all concerned. I remain committed to our public safety, city and social services, education components, diversity, 17 strong neighborhoods, and bringing value to you, our residents, and our future. I ask for your vote in re-electing me, Tim Knabb, to the position of Hamilton City Council member. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you tonight. I feel honored and privileged in getting an opportunity to serve the city and to serve the residents. Our city is getting stronger every day. We have excellent people doing the best possible job for our community, from the volunteer groups to all the city administration officials. The foundations that have been placed and the momentum that has been created, it has to continue. And it is absolutely vital that we as a city elect a council member that will protect these foundations, but will also build upon these foundations and will continue the momentum that is moving our city into the right direction. With your vote in November for Michael Ryan, you will do just that. You will be voting for a voice of reason and unity. You will be voting for someone that will include all residents and neighborhoods. You will be voting for someone that wants to create jobs and to retain jobs. You will be voting for someone that wants to enhance the arts and entertainment for all ages to enjoy. And you will be voting for someone that will continue to help build Hamilton for a brighter tomorrow. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews.
Thank you. On November 7th, you'll be voting for someone that's definitely committed to the community, committed to the progress that we see every day. Also to someone that cares about the community, that will continue to serve the community no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, no matter what your paycheck is, no matter where you come from, but somebody that will be, one, continue to listen to you, continue to hear your needs for the community. I'll continue to be someone that you can depend on, to be a person of action. I'm a person that will work hard and that will work endlessly and tirelessly to make sure that this city is represented and that everyone in this city is represented, no matter where you come from, no matter what neighborhood you live in. That, again, that this will not be a city that's divided by rivers, that won't be a city that's divided by tracks, that we will all continue to really be that one Hamilton that we want to see, and that our city will be reflective of the things that we want to see, which is diversity, which is that we'll see people work in our government building that look like the Hamilton that we want it to be.
That concludes our forum tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for showing your commitment to our great city. Please vote November 7th. Encourage your neighbors to vote November 7th, and we will see you downstairs.